Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Golf Chat Show Live. Again, as we always start the show, please make sure you're staying safe. And if you can, do a little bit of practice in your garden. Today on the show, we've got Sophie Walker, 198 appearances on tour, and now Sky Sports pundit. Welcome to the show, Sophie.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
As well as you can be, I guess. How are you?
Yeah, it's becoming quite normal now, I suppose. So yeah, getting there.
Just get into your little routine. I've got a routine now of going on my bike in the morning for 45 minutes, filming a YouTube video, prepping for the Golf Chat Show, and then thankfully actually sitting in the sun in the garden at the moment. But I think we'd all be going stir crazy if it wasn't sunny.
I've never known Manchester this sunny. Can you believe it?
I know. I saw a meme actually the other day, or a meme or a picture on Instagram. It was like winter rain, summer rain, lockdown, sun. Like for golf, it's just, Yeah. So I want to start. We usually now would be sat down, front of the TV, Masters will be on. It would really start to be hotting up on a Saturday. Okay. What's your favourite Masters moment of all time?
Well, watching it on TV, it was when Tiger won his first one.
Okay.
Because I always like to think that was the start of something. It was the start for me. I was probably 12 years old. And it really ignited my love for Tiger. I had, the 32 dot putter, got shoes, got his red shirt, his Titleist golf bag. And luckily, when I went to school, I got a little bit more street cred from the fact that he started to bring it a little bit more mainstream. And then I suppose without Tiger, I was thinking this, you remember, I don't know how old you are, we never used to be able to see the front nine of the Masters.
I've heard someone say that, actually. I've heard someone say that. And
now it's the coverage is still limited for the Masters. But for me, he started what we wouldn't have Justin Thomas's without him, Jason Days without him, and Rory McIlroy's and stuff like that. I don't think they might be around. I don't know, but I don't think they'd be as good. And when you listen to all these guys, that's their inspiration. So as much as last year was unbelievable, I think the first one was just the start of something. But going back to, I've been fortunate to have been to the Masters, and I know you're a City fan, so you might not like this one. I was Saturday at the Masters. I wasn't going in, and I went to a bar and I watched the Derby, and it was 2 years ago when Reed won, and City went 2-0 up, right? And this guy, apologies for anyone that doesn't understand the Masters, but people sell tickets for fun, right? And this guy comes in and goes, does anybody want to buy a Masters ticket for the afternoon? And I look at the guy I'm with, Martin, and I'm like, should we go? Like, yeah. So we bought a Masters ticket off him, left. And Martin used to caddy for Seve and a few others. And it wasn't nice weather. And he won't mind me saying this, he's quite a big guy. And the last thing he wanted to do was to walk around Augusta with me. You could just see it.
Yeah.
And I made him go on the back nine with me. And we walked 10, 11, 12 with nobody on it. And he showed me, he showed me all about where Seve hit it and talked me through the back nine. And then we caught them up when they were on, we had the roars of the Eagles on 13 and 14. And basically he just told me all about his experiences, which was ace. And it started to rain and all the patrons leave because they don't watch golf in the rain. And I made him stay out there, and luckily it did stop raining. Anyway, we got in. And I said we had a guy with us who was a Man United fan. I said, how did it get on? And he said, 3-2. I went, so you got back in it then? He went, got back in it. We won 3-2. So yeah.
I was hoping you're going to miss out that story then.
Yeah, you can't take your phone in. So I was like, But that Saturday, Rory was on the charge. And I was like, this was one of the best Saturdays, but obviously he never finished it off, which was a bit of a shame. But I'll always, do you know what, this Martin, I literally knew for about 2 days, never met him before. Yeah. And I dragged him in and he taught me through the back nine of the Masters of what Seve did and stuff. And
my God, that's literally like any golfer's dream, surely.
Yeah, it was. And I'll always thank him for that. And we watched Danny Willett as well practice when he was struggling. He'd missed the cut and he was with Sean Foley and he was struggling, and he gave me a ticket for the Sunday. How nice is that? What a ledge.
That is unbelievable. So, I mean, Miss Masters is meant to be going ahead in November. I mean, fingers crossed there'll be some golf if we do get to go ahead. Yeah. Do you think this could be Rory's year to complete his career Grand Slam? Like,
I always believe.
I mean,
Rory.
yeah,
I
same.
Rory could win the Masters this week. I mean, like right now. Yeah, I mean, I think he's the most naturally gifted player on the planet. So there's no reason not. But obviously, the pressure that he puts on himself, I think, is something that he's had to manage over the years. He's said about he's reading all these books and stuff like that. So there's more of a maturity to him, I would say now. And that golf course suits him down to the ground. But unfortunately, you only get one shot a year. And that's the thing with the majors. That's what makes them so cool, isn't it? So yeah, hopefully.
I think the fact that potentially, usually when we go to the Masters, it's the first major of the year. It's all talk is usually on Rory, the fact that he's not completed the career Grand Slam. And he has that almost probably from like November, Christmas time, Tour Champs is over, and we start to get into the next year. I think potentially with playing other tournaments beforehand, and I think the US Open actually comes before the Masters this year, I think that could actually play into his hands, because the focus could be on someone else who's come out of the woodwork and won a major, and can they win another one? So I think not that Rory will ever be an underdog, but maybe not having the heat on him as much as he usually does could be a good thing.
Yeah, and the course will play differently. It depends what they do. I mean, will they overseed it? What will they do with it? I mean, if it plays wet, then
how can they get a tournament in November there? Like,
I mean, can you imagine being, obviously, if you remember there, you're probably not that bothered, but they're like, sorry, no, you can't play on it between January. Well, it's like 6 months of the year you can't play on it. And now I bet they're not going to let them play on it till November.
No,
so,
at least after that. So, like, who would your money be on? Like, I was thinking that I'd like the cup. That's nice. My money was on, I actually fancied Jordan Spieth to do well. I know he's going through a bit of a low patch of the putting, but I actually fancied him to almost regalvanize himself there this year. So who would your money be on if we were playing it this week right now?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I bet on Patrick Cantley. I listened to a podcast that he did, Earn Your Edge. I don't know if you listen to Cam McCormack.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, very good. If anyone wants to listen, if they're a bit bored at the moment in this lockdown. And I listened to him for half an hour, and obviously he performed very well there last year. I just put £5 on him to win on the nose, which for me was quite a bold thing to do, Alex.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's more than I bet.
Yeah, he was mine. But Spieth, I was just saying this on Twitter earlier, like today, I think Spieth, I've just found a new little love for him. Like last week when Sky was showing the Open, last week, and then this week with the Masters. Oh, what a lovely man. Like, he's a boy to me. And, everyone's like, oh, he's not the greatest player, but he gets it round. And it's like, hang on a minute.
That's almost more impressive, I think, when people say that about some
Masters, a US Open, an Open before the age of like 24. Like, I think the boy can play, don't worry.
Yeah. And just on the Masters note, I just was looking at through BBC Sport before, and I see that BBC have got the Masters back tomorrow, re-showing the final round from last year with Tiger. Yeah,
I think that's what the others are doing as well. That's why you've not been able to see it. They've been saving it for tomorrow. So, which I'm going to watch, because obviously we were there last year. So it'll be nice to actually sit, and I've enjoyed the Reed and the Woods one, because obviously when you go, you don't get to see other than what you're seeing. So I've been quite enjoying watching it. And even when you're in America, because it's on during the day, you don't see as much because you're going to play golf and stuff. And for everybody that thinks the Americans get all the golf of the Masters and us Brits don't see it until 8 o'clock, they don't start till 2-3 p.m. either. So.
I always thought that. So you've just you've solved my problem there. Okay, please tell me you've got a chair from the Masters.
Yeah, I have, but it's at my dad's. So my dad, there was 4 of us that went last year, and my dad's 74, and I said, right, all get a chair. Anyway, we were in the hospitality at the end, and Dad had probably had a few too many Stellas, and he left one chair.
Oh, no.
And his wife had a right go at him. So I said, oh, Dad, just take my chair. Save her having a go. So, he's got it. A bit annoying, but it's worth it just to keep him out of trouble.
I'm going to go one day, and I'm going to get a chair, a cup, a mug. Apparently the sandwiches are great as well. So I'm just going to go absolutely all out that year I go. Hopefully more than 1 year. So you played 198 tournaments as a professional. Yeah. This is a question that I really like. What's the best piece of golfing advice you've ever been given, and by who?
Okay, so it was by Phil Kenyon, who I think everybody knows now, but I was probably from where I live at the minute, and I'm good mates with Dave Horsey. He kind of put me onto him years ago, before all this Sea Island stuff and Henrik Stenson and all that. And so I just felt like he said this one thing to me: a good putt doesn't always have to go in, Sophie. Like, what is a good putt to you? And it was, did you give it your attention? Did you commit to it? Did you hit it on the line you intended? So that's the way I used to write in the back of my yardage book. Actually, I had a tick and a cross, like a little tally chart. So every time I hit a good putt in my mind, I would put a tick, and every time I hit a bad putt, I would put a cross. Now, sometimes you can hole a putt and actually not hit it where you want to hit it, and it goes in and stuff like that. And that made me think, actually, I'm hitting way more good putts than bad putts, and that's how I kind of got over the fact that, if you're not holding what you should be holding, in my mind, a good putt didn't always have to go in. It just freed me up a bit, really.
I think a lot of people who watch this show are club golfers and play off kind of a mid-handicap. I think they have this illusion that all pros hole it from absolutely everywhere, so they feel that they have to. And like you said there, a good putt doesn't have to go in, and people label only a good putt, and I know this from people who've had lessons, and I'm sure you're the same, that they stand over it, I missed it from 6 feet, but they could have hit a good putt, but just got a bit of a bobble, or they didn't quite read it right. The technique and the stroke was good, but they kind of can't detach themselves from that.
Yeah, if you pick a point, you start it at that line, say it's an inch outside the hole, you start it there and it misses low, you've misread, or you've not hit it as hard, but there's certain things you can take from that. And then you can work out what you need to work on. Are you good at reading greens? Mm-hmm. Are you good at striking your putt? Are you good at starting it online? And then they're basically the 3 things for putting, aren't they? So you could be great at 2 of them and not good at the other one, and you're not going to hold as much. So you need to work on which aspect is what you're good at and what you aren't good at, I suppose.
And I guess at the moment, maybe not working on reading things, but you can pretty much work on your stroke and your start line right now at home, can't you? There's good drills you can do from home.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, at the minute? I think people are just practicing just to kind of pass the time. But yes, start line is 2 or 3 feet. That's why when you see people with a gate, anybody that's wondering what this gate is, it's start line. If you've not got a gate, put some tees down, or just I always put a coin. Just, can you hit the coin? If you can't hit the coin, then you're not starting it online, are you? So, yeah.
Okay, next question. And I want to know a little bit more about your career today. We see you on Sky Sports now, but how have you transitioned from playing as an amateur to a professional and now doing bits for Sky?
Well, I was fed up of not working the weekend, Alex, so I thought at least with Sky I get all 4 days.
You're not going to say that.
So amateur-wise, started, I think, you've got photos of you picking up a club when you were younger. I mean, I've always been small, but 18 months. My dad plays golf, but played all sports. And then I got to about 13 and still wanted to play with the boys. Sorry, I haven't got a new laptop. I don't know how this works.
Can't drive it yet.
So I joined the golf club at 10 and started to play a bit more with the boys rather than football, because I couldn't play football with them. And got quite fortunate, really, that a lot of the boys in my class at school played golf. So we all just went down together, and it was just a glorified babysitting service, I think. 54 holes a day, some chips, and off you went. And then I started to get quite good, maybe 13 or 14, but nothing got down to 3, I think. So not like child prodigy like Rory. But then at 15, I entered the English Girls and I won it. So I went from kind of being a good county golfer to then winning that. And then from there, I played every level for England and had quite a good amateur record, winning most things as juniors, and went to university in Loughborough, then turned pro straight out of uni. Basically, I wasn't allowed to turn pro unless I had a degree. That was the rule from my parents. So I did that, turned pro, and then, went on to the LET. And honestly, probably underachieved. I was talking about this yesterday. I used to play golf with Carlotta Zaganda, Mel Reid, Azahara Munaf, Anna Nordqvist. They were all my type of era.
Yeah.
And they've gone on to great things. And I think I didn't go to an American uni. I think that was a big problem. I think if you want to succeed on the LPGA, you really do need to go to college in America. So America, you get acclimatized to it, I think.
Yeah.
And then at the time I started on tour, the LET was really strong. So there was no need for me to even want to go to America. So I ended up just really, I absolutely loved my golf. And I think that's the one thing that I never finished golf on the LET because it beat me. And that's what I always said. I was like, I never want to, you know, like lose my tour card or hate golf and then stop. I always wanted to stop kind of on my terms.
Yeah.
So I put a plan in place maybe two or 3 years before I actually stopped to, well, I don't think you ever get qualified at talking about golf, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I've got a few people that work in the TV world that have helped me. I started to do more corporate days, just started to get slowly more involved with it, do a little bit more YouTube stuff, a bit more social media, and built it that way, I suppose. And then I got to the end of 2019, I was like, I'm finishing this year. And no one believed me. And then the final event of the year was Dubai and it got cancelled. So I didn't even have a swan song. So yeah, that was my only regret, really. I would wish I'd have finished in Dubai, because Dubai for me is such a special place. I played there for 12 years, final event of the year, got some really good mates out there. You know, the family were going to come and it got cancelled. Do you know what? I just thought to myself, that is typical of my golfing career. It just fizzled out. But I think you know, I did achieve a lot. Like, it's not like I had seconds and thirds and, you know, kept my card. It's not like I didn't ever probably reach the heights, but I never really struggled. You know, I was just consistent European tour player, played US Opens, played British Opens. But yeah, that was probably a regret, not finishing it off that way. But out of most of the women golfers, I would say I live and breathe golf. Whereas like, you could ask me, not that I want you to, but like a quiz question on golf, I'd be there.
Prepared for me throwing in now in a minute.
Yeah, swing wise, I've always asked why. So yeah, I felt like I could talk a good game, and I always help people on the range and stuff like that. So I suppose when Sky's not come along, I've had to kind of work for it a bit, and hopefully I'll get more in the future. But I just love talking about golf. It's just my passion. So I'm pleased that I never fell out of love with golf as much as you can, I suppose.
Yeah, because you sometimes hear, and across all sports, when the people have been playing at such a high level for a period of time, when they drop out of it, they're like, no, don't want to hear about it, don't want to speak about it, don't want to do it. Whereas, like you're saying there, if you just got the actual love for golf, which is almost like you're saying when you're a kid, when you picked it up, and you've not really lost that throughout, which is great.
Yeah, I wish, like, I would, even if my darkest days on tour, like if I was missing cuts, I would still go out and play golf with my mates. And I would still, but the only thing I do wish is my mentality that when I played with my mates, I had when I was on tour, because I was brilliant playing with my mates. And I wish I could have transferred that mentality and not taken it as seriously on tour. That's probably the one thing that I wish. But yeah, even now, like, obviously we can't play at the minute, but I still would go out and play golf in, like, people go to me, God, would you play golf in the cold? And I'm like, yeah, I like it. Like, I'd rather do that than not.
No, and I know you're not lying there, because you've texted me about playing around here. Yeah. I'm like, you do realise it's raining and you do realise it's cold, and you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Alex.
So we've got a question in here from Matthew Bennett. What's been your favourite moment on Sky Sports to date?
Do you know what it was? It was the women's it was the women's Augusta event. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that I'm a big banger for women's golf. I just like all golf. But obviously, if you're a viewer, right, and it's like, hang on a minute, there's women's amateur golf on. Like, what? I understand that, but it was at Augusta, so I think that changed stuff. Anyway, so it was the most amazing back nine. I don't know if you did watch.
I watched it, actually. I watched it.
Yeah, so there was Kupcho and Fassi, who, to be honest, nobody other than the people in the amateur world would know. Like, you wouldn't know them, would you? But in the end, so it was me and Rob Lee. David Howell came in early to work to watch it. That's how keen he was. Who else was it? Simon Holmes was there. And everybody was like round, because we obviously have screens, round the screens. And it was so nice to see guys so into it, and it just didn't matter that it was women, because there was back 9 pins, wasn't it? Sunday pins as well.
Yeah, Sunday pins.
Yeah, and the buzz that you get from it, I just really enjoyed just doing that. And I never, out of all of them, I would never think that would be the one, but it was just seeing how it affected even people that, you know, commentate on golf all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember back to it. Didn't it come down to the last hole?
No, so Cup Show had it going into the back 9, then kind of lost it, then came back and you know, made the birdies on 17 and went, and they were going for the green in 2 on the par 5s. And the way it was set out, it was like watching men's golf, in the sense that they could reach the par 5s, and they were hitting a similar type of iron into what the men would do it at the Masters. So they did it really well, and Fassi was hitting out the trees, and it was like the Latino girl against the all-American girl, and it's just done really well, and it was played under a great spirit as well. And do you know what? Both of them have just gone like that on the LPGA since they've turned pro. So,
and like you said, I mean, you touched on it there before about saying the American universities and how they do it over there. Almost whether it's in the men's game or the female game, it sets you up. If you're talent, it makes you go from here to here a lot quicker, I think. And great examples. I mean, Bronte Law, she's had a good career coming straight out of America. Matt Fitzpatrick went a year to uni, I think, and then came out. But even that, just a little bit of insight. And I think for me, it's the American mentality of, well, I'm going to go and win. Whereas, I mean, I think it's changing in the UK a little bit. I think the UK, when you go to college over here and university, it's almost like, oh, you played well. Whereas over there, it's like, no, you've got to go and win. And I know there is a balance between that, but I would
say it's the competition. I think you're not given to get in the team. Like, you have to compete to get in the team, then you have to compete in the actual tournament as well.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. It's like, because I do a little bit of work with England Golf, and you know, you could be the best player in your county or whatever, but suddenly you're going to America, and it's like, wow. And they're playing 4-round stroke play. A lot of the amateur stuff over here is match play. They're working on the fitness. They've got to handle studies as well as golf and travel. They're just, they're absolutely nailing it.
So on that point, who is your top picks for the future? Top stars in the male and female game?
Well, I've picked the 2 English to start with, because I do some selecting for England Golf. So on the women's side, it's, most people would have heard of her in the amateur game, Lily Mae Humphries. So she won the Sunningdale Foursomes that have just passed. Just what a golfer! Like, only probably she looks like she should be 20 because she's been around for so long, but she's not. She's still like 18 or whatever. But yeah, fantastic talent. Has won the lot in amateur already. Be interesting to actually see when she makes a step to turn pro. And then on the men's side, most people have heard of Ben Schmidt as well, Yorkshire lad. He was with us when we did the Telegraph Junior event in Kinterlago last year, so I was fortunate to follow him. And he was just, I mean, not only was he head and shoulders above everybody in stature, he just dominated at Kinterlago golf courses in the wind. And yeah, he's ready. I don't know what will happen this year, obviously, with turning pro, because there's not much to play in, but I can't see it being long before he starts.
Will tour school happen, like, do you reckon, at the end of the year?
Tour school it has to
happen, doesn't it? It has to.
It has to, because of the financial gains.
Yeah.
So on the LET, it brings in a vast amount of money, and it will do on the European tour, because there's 3-4 stages on the men's tour, maybe more. There's a few stages in the women's tour. Yeah, and the entry fee to play, it has to go ahead, because financially you can't not have it. Like, it doesn't make sense to go ahead. It makes sense to scrap the year and start again. But looking at our accounts from the LET, I would say you can't live without that and Solheim. And I would assume it's the same in the men's game.
Yeah, I agree. And I think and you probably get away with playing the earlier stages. Hopefully we come out of lockdown and play the early stages. But it comes to predicament then, who from the main tour goes back to play final stage on both the male and female side, and then who from that then goes up and down. There's so many.
In terms of the women's side, like say on the LET, you get, I think, 10 invites per tournament. So I mean, it was only my idea. I've not put it. Why not give those invites to Q School? So everyone else just keep last year's.
Yeah.
But if you want to sell Q School and say, right, there's 10 invites, but those will go to Q School, and do it that way. So you're doing it. I think that would be fairer.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that that's the only way it's going to be is fair, because there's going to be some people who got their card last year who have not had any chance to play this year on the men's side and men's and female side. So for me, the only way you can make this fair is, one, like you said there, invites just go to players, or we scrap the whole season, which I don't know.
And also that if you look at what is going to remain, it's the majors, it's the Rolex series, it's the FedEx. That's only 50, 60 players. The ones that have just kept the car aren't even going to get into these events.
No.
So, I mean, they're going to be playing, if they're lucky on the men's side, 12 weeks this year.
Yeah. Do you think it starts? I mean, I'm looking at the schedule here in front of me. I'll read it out to you now. So Wyndham in August, 10th to 16th, then the Northern Trust, then the BMW Championship. Then in September, you got the Tour Championships at East Lake. And then in September, US Open, Ryder Cup, and then confirmed is the Masters in November. Does that happen? Like, if one of them doesn't happen, surely they all don't happen.
Hey, I hope they happen for my job.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I hope they happen. I think
work, Alex. So these things need to come.
I think golf needs it. Like, especially here in the UK, here in Manchester, as a teaching pro and as a pro in this area, we all know the winter's quiet for some people, and golf needs the Masters. The Masters is like the start of the season. Yeah. Like, and I know that's not till hopefully November now, but do you think it goes ahead?
Oh, I mean, I hope so. I really do, but it's hard to see. I think the trouble is with this lockdown, it's hard to see a light at the end of the tunnel, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah.
And judging by how fast it came on us, things change on such a daily basis that I can't even predict what's going to happen next week. And that's what's so weird coming from a professional golf background, is that you knew your year. You knew from January to December exactly where you would be, unless you like qualify for a US Open or something like that. But you knew, and now you have no idea, and that is mentally quite a weird thing to get your head around.
I mean, like for you, you're used to traveling, you're used to being away, being abroad. So this is even more torture for you. I would just stay inside the house.
And also, like, it affected us a lot earlier because obviously international travel and everything stopped. So, you know, we've been affected by this probably since the beginning of March, and will be affected by it later as well, because in the grand scheme of things, international travel and live sporting events aren't a priority.
No, sure.
Compared to everything else which is going on. But it has made me appreciate, like, live sport. I mean, God, I don't know what to talk about anymore.
Well, we said it before we came on live. We said live sport is nothing without the fans. Like you said, imagine being Solheim Cup, imagine being Ryder Cup, imagine being the Masters, imagine being at Anfield, imagine being at the Etihad. Like, don't say there's no fans anyway.
Used to
that. I knew you were going to say that. But literally, fans make the sport.
They do. But my thing is, might be a 1 year off, like a year of weirdness. So would you rather have no live sport or live sport without fans? I know what I'd want at the minute.
Oh, live sport without fans for sure, 100%. Just not the Premier League, but okay.
You know what's annoyed me? I was so respectful, right? What's happening in Manchester, and you know, mixing with the people I mix with. I don't like to rub it in because, one, no one will come for lessons with me because so I've been really respectful, and then this all happened, and I was like, why was I not big-headed about it? I could have milked it for a few weeks or months. But anyway, I've never seen them win the league, so nothing changes for me. So.
Nah, well, on that note, they're a good enough team to win. So if it's not this year, it will be.
Yeah, we'll win it at some point. Yeah.
So if the Ryder Cup goes ahead, and we were saying before that we probably think it's going to be all potentially captain's picks or off world ranking, who would be your 3 captain's picks?
Well, assuming they're actually going to start in August, so they're going to get a little bit of practice. I would go tried and tested a little bit, just because it's going to come down to experience, I would say, rather than playing your way in. So I'd go Stenson, just because his record is amazing. And I also think Hatton showed, like, obviously he played in the last one, but when it seemed that long ago, where did he win? Players? No, what did he win?
Bay Hill, yeah.
Yeah. There you go, Bay Hill. So yeah, Hatton really.
Like last year, by the way.
No, Hatton stepped up, and then I would go Lowry. I think, just because that golf course would suit him, I think, and yeah, I would go Lowry. Captain's Irish, he's Irish. They're my three at the minute. What about you?
You know what's crazy? Someone says today, Lowry would be a rookie. It feels like he's been around for years.
Got in on him.
Yeah. Do you know what? I would actually think, if Lee Westwood didn't get actually in on his merit of what he's won this year, I would have Lee Westwood, definitely. Just because I think he looks like a new man. Like when he played at the start of the year, I was like, I mean, obviously he's always been very good. He's always been very consistent. But I was like, who's this? What's happening here? It just looked like when he hit the front, he was just like, bye guys. It just looked different. So it'd be him, I'd be Hatton and Lowry. Yeah, that'd be mine. Yeah. Or do you put Garcia in there?
Well, I mean, he's Mr. Ryder Cup, isn't he? So yeah. I just think there's not going to be 3 invites. I mean, 3 picks. There's going to be more. So that makes it easier. And they've made up now, haven't they? Padraig and Sergio, apparently. So you might get a pick.
That'd be a bit like that one. Okay, final question for you. What has been your most memorable tournament that you've ever played?
Oh, God. Memorable tournament I've ever played. There was this one. It was always a tournament, like every year. So there was one at the Buckinghamshire, and it was called the British Masters. I think it ended up being called the European Masters, but I always really enjoyed it because it was in July, so the weather was unreal. It was reasonably close to London, so you got good crowds, and my whole family could come down for it. And I just loved it. I would look around and see maybe 20 people at least. And at the time, Holly Clyburn was on tour when I was on tour, and we're from the same town. So that meant there'd be about double the amount of people that would come and watch. Mike Dean caddied for me, the ref. So there was always something funny. He used to get abused randomly. So that was quite funny. Like someone would yell out, "You've got the hardest job in the world." And he'd be like, "What? Reffing or caddying for her?" Like stuff like that. So yeah, that was always good because it's just nice playing at home. And
yeah,
we were saying in this conversations I've been doing on Instagram earlier this week, England on the LET does not have a tour event at the minute. And
that needs to change. That's got to change.
It's so embarrassing. So that is why I always used to love the event at the Buckinghamshire, because it was something that you could be really proud of. It was at the headquarters as well. We wanted to make it like our Wentworth, for the men. And it was getting there. And then we had obviously the trouble with the tour, and it just fell away, which was such a shame. So.
Okay, and you briefly mentioned it there about you doing your live streams. Who have you had on so far, and how can people find them?
It's on 2:00 UK time every Monday to Friday. Obviously, I take holidays off. So yeah, we've had some good ones. Mel Reed's been on, Florentina Parker, Amy Bolden, and I've picked a few just people that you would know if you followed women's golf, but. Like Flick Johnson, Alice Hewson. It's just been really nice because you must find people get a bit nervous in the first 5 minutes, and then suddenly they forget that they're actually talking to more than just one person. Yeah. So it's been quite nice to get some really good stories out of them. So I would encourage you to probably skip the first 5 minutes. Rubbish. And then after that, it gets good.
In fact, they're just on your Instagram, or they're on IGTV.
Yeah, it's Sophie Walker Golf, but I'm probably going to do a few Zoom ones and stuff to get it on YouTube and whatever. But this is just raw material. It's up there for 24 hours, just trying to get to know a few of the women's players. And then depending on how long the lockdown goes, I might start grabbing a few other people in there as well.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show.
No worries. Nice to speak to you, Alex. Stay safe.
You too. And thanks, guys, for watching today's Golf Chat Show live. On tomorrow's show, we're doing a Sunday Masters special. We've got some Seve signed things to show you. We've got some giveaways, so make sure you tune in. 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Thanks for watching, guys.